The member for North Sydney.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. And Mr Speaker, my question is to the Treasurer.
Order.
And Mr Speaker, I remind the House that the last time the Labor Party had a debt, it took the Coalition to pay it off. And now the Labor Party has an even bigger debt, Mr Speaker, which is going out, Mr Speaker, all the way, Mr Speaker.
Member for North Sydney, resume his seat.
Mr Speaker.
The member for North Sydney, resume his seat. The member for North Sydney will resume his seat. The member for Blair. Member for Blair has the call. The member for Blair has the call.
Right.
The member for Blair has the call.
Okay,
The member for Blair has the call. The member for Blair has the call.
My question is to the Minister
Member for Blair, resume his seat.
Mr Speaker, understanding. Mr Speaker, I can seek the call.
The member for Sturt.
Mr Speaker, this is a very serious point of order. You have, over successive days, allowed the Prime Minister to wave posters around in this place, which we have pointed out to you on numerous occasions is provoking the opposition. You are now apparently, if I'm correct, you are apparently ruling out a question from the Shadow Treasurer.
Member for Sturt will resume his seat. The member for Sturt will resume his seat. Now, hop up and do your stunt. The member for Sturt, because I am ruling it out of order. No. The member for North Sydney will resume his seat. The member for North Sydney will resume his seat. The member for North Sydney will resume his seat. Because having just suggested that the actions that the member for North Sydney took yesterday were appropriate, in inviting other members to have to assist him with a prop is a blatant. On yesterday's occasion, if you are suggesting that the passing of the papers that were to be tabled is akin to what you just did, I'm surprised. The member for North Sydney.
Mr Speaker, I respectfully suggest to you, Mr Speaker, that I am using this prop to illustrate the matter that goes to the substance of my question about the government's debt.
The member for North Sydney will resume his seat. I'm about to explain to you, member for McEwen. If in fact, if we took each of those frames individually, there would have been no complaint. The member for Blair will resume his seat one at a time. Get separate them. I'll give him the call next. While you prepare. No, well, come on. I mean, we're not running a sideshow. The member for Sturt on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I think the ludicrousness of the situation has been amply demonstrated, and I respectfully ask you to give the member for North Sydney the call to ask his question.
The member for North Sydney will come to his question now, or he will lose the question. The member for North Sydney.
My question refers. I refer the Treasurer to the fact that the last
member
time
for
the
North
Labor
Sydney
Party
will
was
resume his seat. The Chief Government Whip.
Mr. Speaker, with great respect, you gave the call to the member for Blair. His call has been interrupted by a number of points of order, but he actually still had the call.
The member for North Sydney has the call.
Mr. Speaker, I refer the fact that the last time the Labor Party was in government, the coalition had to pay off their debt after they left Australia with a burden of $96 billion. This time, the Labor Party is in government again, and the Labor Party is accruing debt on a massive scale as the biggest spending government in modern Australian history. And the debt is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and redder, just like the Deputy Prime Minister's face, Mr. Speaker. And I say to the Treasurer,
Order.
Now that the Minister for Finance said simple mathematics explains how to pay off all of this Labor Party debt, will you now come clean with the Australian people about just how much debt you are really leaving Australians?
The Treasurer.
Can't read your graph, Joe.
Well, Mr.
The
Speaker,
member for Fadden's warned.
Mr. Speaker, they can never get fired up about jobs in local communities. They can never get fired up about the people that are being pushed against the global recession. But what we just saw was the hockey $300 billion debt. That's what we saw. He has admitted, and so has the Leader of the Opposition admitted, in the circumstances this country finds itself, that they would have to borrow as much as the government has to borrow, and they would not pay it off one day sooner. That's what they've confirmed. Because if they're not confirming that, where is their alternative plan? Where is their alternative plan? What is the alternative fiscal policy?
I remind the Leader of the Opposition to be status.
A blank piece of paper, Mr. Speaker. A blank piece of paper. No alternative fiscal policy, because they know that this government has had forced upon it, and this country has had forced upon it, a $210 billion revenue collapse. A $210 billion revenue collapse. And if they were going to do something different, what they would have to do is savagely increase taxes or savagely cut back services. And they come into this House and won't nominate one saving they could make. And what that means is that they would borrow every cent the government has borrowed, and they would not pay it back one day sooner. They are complete frauds.